Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Modern Customer Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Morgan. Today, my guest is Meridith Elliott Powell. Meridith is one of the top sales speakers out there. She was voted one of the top 15 business growth experts, the top 100 sales influencers by LinkedIn, and top 41 motivational speakers. She's an award-winning keynote speaker and business strategist. She is a member of the Speaker Hall of Fame, the chair of the National Speakers Association, and she's a master certified business growth strategist. Over 600,000 learners have taken her LinkedIn course. Meridith Powell is a phenomenal speaker, an interesting person that I recently met in Santa Barbara at LinkedIn Studios. I'm so excited to bring you this special episode so you can think about mindset, about how the little things matter a lot, and how to start 2025 off to an amazing and powerful beginning. Please enjoy Meridith Elliott Powell. Meridith, it's so nice to see you again. Welcome to the Modern Customer Podcast Show.
I am excited to be here and ready to dive in, Blake.
Well, for our audience, for our listeners, I met you in the makeup room at LinkedIn, which was so fun. And I can pick up good energy right away when I see it. And I don't know how I hadn't met you before,
Yeah.
but I just felt like we have to be connected. You have to be on the show. You are one of the top speakers in the world. Let's just hear a quick, not to tell you your own work of the elevator pitch, but my audience that might have not known you or met you before, tell us about how you came into this work as a speaker.
Well, I want to start with how I came into this podcast because it is so fun that there you and I met in the makeup room of LinkedIn, and we just had this instant connection. We had so much
Oh,
in common, and it was crazy that we had never met before. But I think that we've done so much work with the LinkedIn studios. But I
yes.
have been in this sales arena for a long time, the sales, customer service, and really helping people manage change. And I am a speaker, I am a big business growth consultant, and I'm an award-winning author. And as you said, I'm lucky enough to get to speak all over the world. But my passion is helping my clients learn to turn uncertainty to their greatest competitive advantage.
Yeah. And when we met, it was actually before even the storms where you live in
Yeah.
North Carolina. And you and I were just chatting how it's like no one could have predicted all of that mess. And it's still messy. And I think it's representative for a lot of us, no matter what line of business we're in. I mean, a lot of us have faced unprecedented uncertainty. And I think that's a theme in your work is how to be positive, how to still get up every day with excitement and energy. I mean, what kinds of messages are you bringing to your audiences now as most of us are dealing with a lot of change and uncertainty?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, I mean, I live here in Asheville, North Carolina, and as most people around the country, if not around the world, know, we have seen about the worst that weather can do to you in the last couple of months. But I think one of the most important things is that there's no judgment around uncertainty. It isn't like my uncertainty is greater than your uncertainty. And you're absolutely right. Everybody will experience it. So that's my first message is that it is a part of life. You and I were talking before we came on the podcast that if you stay in business long enough, you're going to have a bad year. You
Yeah.
better just buck up and brace yourself. It is going to happen. And so the first message is to understand that uncertainty and change and disruption are going to happen. There's nothing you can do to stop them. But my bigger message, and the one I'm really passionate about, and the one that I've learned from research, is that it is proven that if you can embrace uncertainty, even when you do not like it, there is your greatest opportunity just on the other side of it.
Yeah, I think it's uncomfortable for many of us. I mean, the whole being a human being, you're always trying to find your happy equilibrium. I was just giving a friend a pep talk the other day about how to, I mean, you're constantly trying to find that balance, but there really is no balance. Is that the secret that there's no such thing as work-life balance?
Oh, I definitely believe that there's no such thing as work-life balance. I came across this research, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, about managing your energy rather than managing your time. And I have lived my life that way ever since I found that research. And the idea is What you do have control over is how much energy gets sucked out of you. Do you spend time with people you don't want to spend time with? Do you do things that you don't want to do? Now, sometimes we have family we don't want to engage with and we have to, but you have a lot of control over your energy. I'll give you a great example. One night we were headed to a dinner party and I was whining the whole time I was getting in the party in the car, telling my husband, I don't like these people. I don't know why we do this and anything. And he just looked at me and goes, why are we going?
Hmm.
And I was like, what do you mean? I said, they invited us. We have to go. He goes, no, we don't. And that was kind of a wake up call to me of going, I need to think about where I spend my time and with more energy in me, that leads to whatever balance is a reality in the world.
Yeah, I think it's getting control. I think a lot of us feel out of control.
Yes.
We feel like, oh, we have to go to the dinner party, or we have to work with this client or deal with this employee, when we forget like we're adults. Sometimes like you feel like a kid still.
Yeah, oh, completely. And that's the idea around embracing uncertainty. When you embrace what you don't like, you put yourself in the position of control. I cannot do anything to stop the amount of change that is coming at you, but I can help you learn to navigate that change to find better opportunity on the other side. So you 100% have control. Even spending time with people you don't want to spend time with, when you own that you made that decision, it takes less energy out of you. Well, I'm in this situation because I put myself in this situation.
Well, what about people that are watching Meredith that might feel like I don't have a choice? I have to go to work and deal with these people. I saw a funny meme about decaf, like people that at work that like suck energy out of you. And they bring nothing to the table. But I mean, what advice do you have for people that really maybe they can't avoid certain people or situations in their life? They have to figure out a way to protect their energy, but still fulfill their responsibility.
So there's a couple of pieces. Is that number one, we have all been in a time in our life when we had to do things that we didn't want to do. We've had clients we've had to finish a contract with, a job we had to go because we had to put a couple of kids through school or do whatever. You're stuck in the moment. You're not stuck forever. So number one is continue to do what you need to do right now, but work on a plan to change your situation, to go for what you want. Cast your vision and take action every day around that vision. The other is, it's interesting. We're recording this right in the middle of the holidays. So talk about a time when you have to do stuff you don't want to
Right.
do, right? Yeah. And so you balance that with things that infuse energy into you. Like I had to go to a big family dinner, and some of my family I adore and some I don't. And right in the middle of dinner, politics came up. And I thought, really, do we have to do? I knew it was going to, and my family is at odds, and it was just a huge energy suck. So I had planned the next morning for my husband and I to go hiking together because that is something that puts energy back in to me.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
so balancing, that you have to do certain things that you don't want to do, but how can you balance that with something that you do to put the energy back into you?
I love that. So it's almost like rewarding yourself and
Yeah.
and putting blank space in your calendar for yourself, like
Yeah.
rejuvenation time.
And I think that's especially at the holidays is so important. But even we all have clients that are difficult. I had one the other day that I knew the call was going to be rough. And so I planned two great clients that I love to work with right after that client because
Yeah.
I needed something easy. So that is a space where you have control.
Yeah, I mean, and when we think about, I call it customer experience mindset, being service oriented to others. But I always say, like, first you have to inspire yourself and get
Yeah.
yourself into a place of good energy. I know you live and breathe that with your tennis at 6 a.m. and
Mhm.
think you're really healthy and you're hiking and everything. Are there little micro moments people can plan into their day if they don't have time to hike, or, they can't get a massage or something? Like, what else can people do just, like, micro to
Yeah.
maintain their energy throughout the day?
Well, first of all, I think you need to accept the fact that you are going to be a much kinder and much more service oriented person when you do something for yourself, when you take care of yourself. I mean, I never feel guilty about going to get a massage or leaving to go play tennis or do something because I am nicer to my husband because I did that. If the day becomes all about everybody else, I kind of, snap. But micro is exactly how to do it. I always tell my clients, make a list of 5 things that infuse energy into you. Like, my dog is asleep right over there, and nothing makes me happier than going and petting and loving on my dog a
Yeah.
little bit. That's a micro. I can go outside, throw the ball for him. Some people like to read. Some people it's music. Turn a little bit of music on. So you think about what are 4 or 5 things that infuse energy into you that you can just take a break and do.
So let's shift the conversation here in the second chapter of our time together into more of like a sales conversation.
Sure.
I mean, obviously confidence is a big piece of being great at sales. And I mean, you're very confident. You're
Mhm.
speaker, you're president of National Speakers Association, or is it chair?
It's chair now. It used to be
Your
president.
chair.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're the queen bee of the National Speakers Association. So a lot of confidence, confidence is challenging, especially in uncertainty. We're not always feeling as confident when things are uncertain. What tips do you have for our salespeople listening that still need to show and exude confidence, even though next year is uncertain still?
Yeah, number one, I would say it's interesting that you would ask me that because I got asked to speak, gosh, it's probably been 15 years ago to a women's group, and they wanted me to speak on confidence.
Hmm.
And that made me laugh because I thought, I'm not very confident. Why do you want me to speak on confidence? And and I ended up writing a book about it called The Confidence Plan of how I taught myself to be confident. But I think there's one thing you need to do, and this is so important for salespeople. If you are focused on yourself, if you are focused on your own goals, if you are focused on getting the deal so that you keep your job, you are not going to be confident. Confidence is focusing 100% on other people. Now, the irony of that is the more that you go in service to others, the more your energy shifts so that people feel a trust with you, a warmth from you, and they'll buy from you.
Hmm.
But that's the confidence is, like think about anybody I know who would describe themselves as not confident. I put them in a situation where they need to fight for their child or they need to take care of an older parent or somebody they love has been wronged. And they are the most confident people I have ever seen. And the reason is because it isn't about them.
Yeah.
So if you want to establish confidence, really lead with that servant's heart. And you need to understand that as we go into an uncertain marketplace, and 2025 is looking so uncertain, um, is that as a sales professional, your customers will need you more in 2025 than they needed you in 2024. Because when the marketplace becomes uncertain, you're who they need.
Hmm. Yeah, and I love that you talk about establishing trust. This is a common thread for any line of business, whether it's customer service, customer experience, or sales. Trust is the name of the game. You talked about warmth and just being somebody that another person wants to be around. What are other ways to establish trust with prospects and customers?
Yeah, I really do think the number one way is that focus on other people. I mean, I guess we would call it empathy. Is that, do you care and do you put across that the relationship will always be more about them? But I think the second is, are you somebody they can respect? Like, are you a resource? Do you know what you're talking about? Are you knowledgeable about? And then the third I would say is, do you do what you say you're going to do? Can I count on you? If you say you're going to call me at 3, do you call me at 3? If you say you're going to follow up with material, do you follow up? Do you follow up with material? So I feel like if you put um, empathy and consistency, reliability, and alongside really being that resource or that expert in your field, I feel like you're going to be well positioned to create trust.
Yeah, and I think it's also energy, like we were talking about in our first few minutes together. Like I was recently, we decided to redo our bathrooms, and I was at the tile store, and the guy that works at the tile store is really nice, but the tile store is a little messy, and I wasn't really feeling the energy. Like, oh, this would look great in your bathroom, or like, look at this new tile we got in, and the texture, it's so beautiful. And it's just it seems like a lot of people today are forgetting that they have to put effort and energy and that the customer can feel that. It's like a lethargy. Have you seen that at all?
Oh, I have seen it in, I've seen it in so many places. It's interesting to me that, like, we all get bent out of shape about, the very fact that, we expect people to look a certain way or to act a certain way. And you just mentioned going into the tile store and it's messy. I don't wanna I'm redoing my bathroom, trying to make it beautiful. If your place is a mess, why would I think you would do good work in my
Yeah.
bathroom? And so I think what we forget is that everything speaks. I was working with a group of sales professionals, and the CEO had said, I've got a couple on the team that don't dress quite right, and I can't really talk to them about it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we can talk about it. And he said, how are you going to do that? I said, look, if you walked in to get your car fixed and your mechanic walked out in a white coat and a tie and no grease under her fingernails, you would be out of there like a shot. But if your doctor walked out and they had a t-shirt on and grease under their fingernails, you would be out of there like a shot. Why? Because you have an expectation that goes with that position. And so when you're coming in, if you're loaning people money, I used to be a banker, I needed to look a certain way because there was an expectation of that. And so you've got to realize that everything speaks. And when you speak about energy, I feel like everything speaks. People can be really nice, but if they're a mess, then that doesn't work. I don't want to go to a personal trainer. I don't care how nice they are. If they're not in very good shape, they've
Yeah.
told me a lot about their services.
I think that people really forget that.
Yes.
Like, it's kind of like being a parent. It's like so many people I know when they become a parent, like they totally forget to take care of themselves. And I think it's a mistake.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, like people want to trust like the personal trainer that they're working with. And if the personal trainer isn't like eating their own dog food, then how can the client trust that they're going to know what's best for the client if they don't even do it for themselves?
Absolutely. And again, I just really think that as a sales professional, you've got to realize that everything speaks. If you show up late for an appointment, you just told me volumes about what my relationship is going to be. Years ago, when I was a banker, we had somebody coming in to sell us coaching services, and I was just a peon in the bank at the time, but they had invited me as a representative of the little people in the bank with the executive leadership team to meet with this consultant. And I got in there right on time because I'm just a little nobody. And he was in there waiting to meet with us, and all of our executives were 15 minutes late. And when they sat down, he said hello to everybody, and he stood up and he said, thank you very much, but you've told me how committed you are to this coaching program by showing up 15 minutes late, and I don't think I want to work with you. And he walked out the
Oh,
door.
wow.
And it was the reverse of, but he was right. We were not committed. I mean, you tell people volumes so much more by your actions than your words. And back to your other word on trust, that creates trust, right? I mean, I can say things all day long, but if I'm smoking a cigarette and telling you not to smoke, you don't really trust me.
There's a funny t-shirt, and I think it says something like, "Sorry I'm late. I didn't wanna be here." But
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
even these little things, like, my dad has this saying, like, "If you're on time, you're late." Like,
Yeah.
it just yeah, I mean, people can smell if and people can smell if salespeople don't care, don't wanna be there, or if anybody I mean, just these little things, like you said, say-do ratio, be on
Yes.
time, show enthusiasm, and I feel like in the last few years, the art of these old school principles has been lost a little bit, and maybe we need, like, a refresher course on
Yeah.
being a good person.
I think it's a competitive advantage. In fact, when we met out at LinkedIn, I was doing my fourth filming of the same course, which was it's soft skills for sales professionals, just like you said. And it's about my most popular course, and it's the little things. But you know why I think it's been lost is because for years we trained on product and we trained on sales technique. And we no longer sell products. There's not a product that I can't buy online. What we're selling is ourselves. And that is all those little professional things. So I always tell my clients, if your team can master those, you have a serious competitive advantage.
Yeah, I mean, but how do you in an appropriate way train? Like I do empathize with your client that wasn't comfortable telling the staff how to dress because now, there are things you can't say. You can't offend people. So how do you inspire greatness, get people to care? Sometimes like you can't tell people like I mean, even like someone who works with my kids runs a fitness studio for kids. Like they have yellow teeth. They need to
Yeah,
get their teeth bleached or go to the dentist. I would
right,
never tell them that. But it does
right.
matter. Like, I mean, if you're selling anything, like you need to take care of your smile.
Yeah.
How do you
You know,
say that?
and I think the way that you do it, in fact, this is how we did it with my client, is that we got in the room and we said, we went through the exact exercise I took you. When you go to the doctor, what do you expect your doctor to look like? What would you not want your doctor to look like? If you went to the mechanic, what would you want the mechanic to look like? What do you want your tattoo artist to look like?
Yeah.
Now, this type of thing. And then we just reversed it to what do our clients expect when we walk through the door? How do they want us to look? How do they want us to act? So we got them to tell us that the way they were acting and dressing was inappropriate rather than us having to tell them.
This is a big thing even for customer service. I had a client where they had third-party contractors that would show up to these new construction homes and the car wouldn't have like the same signage or the clothes and how they would set up the environment. Like let's say they need to do drywall, like how they would protect the home with the mat and the this and the that. And there was no streamlined process. So I think at times having a streamlined process for
Yes.
things that can go awry, like clothing, signage on a car, it does matter. Everything should be the same.
Everything really matters, and the more that you pitch that into the onboarding, the easier it is going to be, and the more that it is said to everybody, the easier that it is.
So we talked about mindset and energy. We've talked about the little things. I would say that could even be a theme of this podcast is
Yes,
just like the little things matter a lot, which is a really big theme for customer experience, that customer experience is a game of inches rather than yards.
so true.
Do you have any closing thoughts for our listeners and our audience on how to launch into 2025 with a really positive start?
Yeah, I would say that number one, cast a vision. What do you want your year to look like? And focus on that vision a lot. I call it a relentless vision. As I said, I live here in Asheville, North Carolina. And if you got up with me in the morning, you'd see the very first thing I do is look at a note card. And on that note card, it's where I see my life 1 year from now, my health, my relationships, my finances. I look at it 3 times a day because I'm training my brain to find opportunity. And then the second is go into the year focused on helping others. Really lead with that servant's heart because the path to profitability and growth is going to be through caring through other people.
I love that. And I hear that a lot from successful people. I had Josh Linkner on the podcast
Yeah.
yesterday, and he was also saying the first thing he does in the morning is a creativity exercise where he'll literally take a problem that's not even his and he'll just solve it to just get his brain warmed up. And it's
Yeah.
just incredible for people watching probably to think, well, I cannot believe Meredith actually does that like every single day. Like, does she actually look at that card 3 times a day? So you see, like even like very successful people have to constantly go back to the drawing board and reorient themselves.
Yeah, I think the matter of successful people realize that they have the same challenges that you do. The difference is they're just taking action around it.
I love that. I think
Yeah,
successful people have an affinity for action, which I
much
think
very
you're very much that's your job as a speaker is to motivate people to take action.
absolutely.
Well, I wish we could talk all day. I cannot
Me
wait
too.
to get dinner with you in person. But before we let you go, let's have some rapid fire fun. Are you
Sure,
ready to take some questions? I know you're ready. You were born
I'm
ready
ready.
for this. All right, Meredith, what's the most important part of your morning routine?
Oh, it's my meditation first thing in the morning and reading my vision.
Love that. What show are you currently streaming?
Oh, I'm streaming. It's this show on, it's called The Lincoln Lawyer. I watch it on the airplane.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. Okay. What do you do to relax at the end of a hectic day?
Oh, the relax, it is some form of activity. It's a mountain bike, it's a round of golf, it's a game of tennis, it's a hike.
Love that. Okay. What's your favorite leadership resource or book?
My favorite, How to Win Friends and Influence People, written by Dale Carnegie, written in the 1930s. I make every client I have read it.
Okay. What's your idea of perfect happiness?
The first thing that comes to my mind is just peace. I mean, I think happiness is, am I at peace?
Beautiful. Very well said. What's your favorite type of vacation?
Oh, active. My husband and I take cycling vacations.
That that's amazing. I'm happy your husband does that with you. If you could have lunch with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
Winston Churchill.
That was a very fast answer.
I
I
I
think,
he's I love Winston. I love everything about Winston Churchill.
oh my gosh, I love that. Okay. And if you had to describe your outlook in one quick motto, what would it be?
Turn uncertainty to competitive advantage.
Perfect. I think you won at this game. I think you responded faster than anyone. Meredith, people want to learn more about you and your services. Where can they do that?
I am a big believer in build your network. It will change your life. So please connect with me. I really believe in the value of relationships. And they can reach me on LinkedIn. That's the social media channel I'm on more than any. But you can also find me at my website, valuespeaker.com. I blog, I write, shoot videos every week. There's so much content there. And of course, I share an amazing lineup of LinkedIn learning courses with Blake.
All right, Meredith. Well, this has been so fun. I hope you'll come back and really
I'd love to.
appreciate you being here. Everybody, you've been watching the Modern Customer Podcast. Until next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on social media, including Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and more.